The key here is the speed of which we're able to adapt and not have the fear. I loved what Anne said earlier. It's like we got to get over that fear of what if, or what if I do this. That may have been part of your past culture, but it's not part of a 2020 culture. Right? And frankly, if anybody in this room has the fear of if I do this, I will lose my job, I'm going to say this at the risk of Julie being really upset with me. Hey, Julie. If you're worried about that, that's not the right motive to make a decision, because if something were to happen, you were to lose your job, guess what? It's not the worst thing that could happen. I told you that I come from banking and insurance. When I left banking, I went into insurance, and when I left, my boss's name was Hal, and it should have been Hell. Because people don't leave their jobs, they leave their leaders. And I got headhunted by GE Capital, which Ken mentioned, and they were offering me more money, more flexibility, more freedom. I don't know, what would you have done? And so when I left, Hal said, you'll be back, and when you come back, you'll come crawling back. And in my mind, I thought, hell will freeze over before I come back. I joined the GE Capital, and 2 years later, they laid off 50% of the employees across the country. They asked me to stay, which you might think would have been the better thing, but actually it was terrible, because in the 3 months I had to keep lying to my employees to tell them that they would be safe when I knew they would not be. I went to my boss, Brian, and said, you kept the wrong person, I got to go, and I left. I went from there to a credit union company, headed up their mortgage program. They asked us to book $10 million in a year. We did it in 10 months. They came to me and said, we do not have the capital to support what you've lent. You no longer have a job. After 10 months. And I said to myself, well, I can always go back to the bank. No, hell will freeze over. But I got to tell you, I would not be standing here today if those things did not happen. So if your fear is that, then you're simply fearing a potential different future. And that, too, is a fear of change. The courage to innovate and create, there's energy there. For my 47th birthday, my husband said, what do you want for your birthday? And I said, I want a family experience. He took us bungee jumping. I went bungee jumping. I jumped forwards. He jumped backwards. I'm on the edge. I'm looking down, and I'm going, this is stupid. What am I doing? But after I jumped and I knew I was alive, it changed everything, because I went, wait a minute, there's still things that I'm fearing. I'm not recommending any of you bungee jump, by the way. I'm simply saying that there are things that we fear that are all created, that they're created. And once we overcome fear, how many of you agree it is the most exhilarating, exciting, creative energy that we could ever unleash for ourselves? If we look at 2020 leadership, it's about you in this room empowering your teams to also not be afraid, to embrace innovation, to make the change needed to get to 2020. It's about you leaving here and changing the questions you ask yourself and you ask others. Ask more empowered coaching questions. When somebody you work for says, I don't have the skills or tools to do that, what is it that you need, and how can we get that for you? As your leader, I will support you. My favorite boss said to me one day, Cheryl, my goal for you is to far surpass me in your career. Wow. That's a confident leader. Are you going to leave here and coach others to higher performance beyond what you already do now? Are you going to lead yourself and others through change to that 2020 vision? Are you going to look at those collaboration formats? Are you going to execute with further excellence? Yes, you are, because that's why you're here. And frankly, it's all about simplifying. Really, it is. Innovation is simplifying. How many have heard that Leonardo da Vinci quote, that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication? Look at Apple. They're a great example with the iPhone and all their technology. Google's search, absolutely. Simplicity is the ultimate in sophistication. That's what we need to be thinking when we're looking at our innovative ideas. It doesn't have to be complex. You don't have to create the next WordPress or anything else. Just in that moment, coming up with those innovative ideas.